my basic app enables me to actually enter details, and here are the fields that I've created. Now Mendix automatically does do some degree of validation on things that we type in. So for example, if I type in some text into a field which we've designated as being integer, if I click save, we'll get an error message. And the way that we get these little notifications is in Mendix. It uses a different colour, red here obviously, and it pops a kind of validation notification underneath the panel so you can see what the problem is with the field. So obviously in this case I've typed in a series of characters, these aren't numbers, so it's telling me that it can't save. So you can see what happens here. When I click on the save button, the little validation engine is running and it's checking each of the fields. Now currently we don't have any validations aside from the built-in one, which is basically just doing a sort of very coarse check on, are we typing in numbers? But we can go a bit further than this. So let's go into Mendix and let's have a look and see how we do this. Now all of this is inside the domain model. So I'm going to go back into the domain model which I have here. Now if I open the domain model up for this entity, and you can see we've got the standard layout here, but if you look across the tabs in this dialog box, you can see the one that says validation rules, and that's where we're going to do most of our work today. So I'm going to go into here and I can create a new validation rule by tapping on the new button. And what we have is we have basically we can attach a validation rule to any of the attributes, any of the fields that we have, and we can say what kind of validation rule should be applied. Now when I pick one of these, the dialog box will change so that we can actually add in extra information as well. But let's do something very simple. For example, let's take the name field and let's say that that was a required field. Okay, so now if I click OK and I click OK and then I recreate the app, so my app is running, so let's click View App. If we go into here now and click New. So now if I click Save, I can't save. And what's happening here is we said that name is a required field, and so I can't actually save until I've entered a value into the name field. But of course the problem here is, as a user, this would be quite infuriating because I have no visual indication of what's wrong, why I can't type information in and actually save it. So if we go back to Mendix, it's because what I basically did was I left out. So if I go back into the entity validation rules section, this is the important bit here, is to put an error message in so that if the validation check fails, the error message will pop up. So I can say something like, name is a required field, like that. Click on OK. Let's recreate the app. Let's run it. So now I can go back in, and if I tap on New, now if I click Save, we get the little message that pops up, and whatever we put into that dialog box inside Mendix is going to pop up in here, and it's going to be highlighted in red so that we can see we've actually got to type some values in to actually be able to save this form. So that's a required validation rule.